Hi, I'm Chris from needlepointers.com, and this tutorial will demonstrate 2 ways to applique using Accuquilt applique dies. I have this snowflake die to use as an example for this tutorial. I will demonstrate how to use the free machine embroidery designs that are available from Accuquilt and also the traditional way to do fusible web applique. This tutorial will be relevant for any of the Accuquilt applique dies, as the process is similar for all dies. Accuquilt provides a PDF document with the embroidery designs download that has a lot of information on cutting and using the Accuquilt Go shape dies. Even if you are not machine embroidering the shapes, the steps up to stitching the embroidery will be helpful to you. What you need for applique: an Accuquilt applique die and a mat that matches the die, fabrics, heat and bond light, thread, the free machine embroidery design, and an embroidery machine is optional, and an iron. And if you're machine embroidering, the iron needs to be able to fit inside your hoop. The process of prepping the fabric and cutting the shapes for the applique is the same for both machine embroidery applique and traditional applique. Cut your fabric 1/2 inch larger than the size of the shape to be cut. Measure the shape's width and length and then add 1/2 inch to the size that you measure. Cut the fabric to the size needed. For this snowflake die, if I want to cut all 3 snowflakes, the fabric will be cut at 7.5 inches by 22.5 inches. Also, cut a piece of heat and bond the same size. At the ironing board, place the fabric wrong side up. Put the heat and bond on top of the fabric with the paper side facing up. Align the edges of the fabric and iron as directed on the heat and bond package to fuse the heat and bond to the back of the fabric. I have a hot iron without steam, and it only takes about 5 to 10 seconds to fuse. Prepare and fuse heat and bond to all fabric pieces needed for your applique die. Do not remove the paper from the heat and bond. Place the prepared fabric over the die shapes, add the mat, and cut the shapes. When the fusible web is attached to the fabric, you can place the fabric in any direction, lengthwise, crosswise, or on the bias grain. The fusible web with the paper will keep the fabric from stretching or distorting while going through the cutter. Remember that many of the applique shapes are directional, so you must face the fabric up for them to be in the correct orientation. This snowflake die is an exception since the snowflakes are symmetrical. If you do want to stitch a mirror image, be sure to have the fabric facing down for all the parts of the applique design if it has multiple pieces. When machine embroidering, mirror image the design in your machine. So I place the fabric down, place the mat on top, and send it through the cutter. And we have the snowflakes cut. First, I'll show you how to use an embroidery machine to applique the design on the background fabric. If you don't have an embroidery machine, skip to the next section and I'll be showing how to fusible web applique with your sewing machine. When you purchase the die, the embroidery designs were probably added to your downloads folder on the Accuquilt website. Download the zip file for the designs to your computer, unzip and copy the designs to your USB or transfer them to your embroidery machine in your favorite way. If you need more information on downloading files and copying them to a USB drive, please watch our previous video tutorials on this subject. Along with the files is a PDF. Review this PDF to find out the stitching steps for your specific applique shape die. Also, the provided machine embroidery designs usually include 3 options for stitching: satin, motif, or blanket. You will want to select the file for the finished stitching you would like. Thread the top thread you will use for your final applique stitching. You could also use a neutral thread or a thread that will blend in with the background fabric color for the placement stitch. If you've selected the satin stitch for the final stitch, the thread used for the placement and tack down stitch will not show. For the motif or blanket stitch, it is possible the stitches will show through, especially the tack down stitches. Load the design you would like to embroider. Remember to pick the version you would like since there are 3: satin, motif, and blanket. Hoop the fabric with stabilizer underneath. Use stabilizer that's appropriate for your project. I am using this magnetic hoop. It's my new favorite hoop for machine embroidery and makes it so easy to hoop and holds the fabric stable. This is my large hoop, and I've used this magnetic hoop to quilt with continuous quilt designs, so we can hold 2 layers of fabric stable for machine quilting. Review the PDF for the color changes in your design. This snowflake design only has 2 colors, the placement stitch and the embroidery stitch, satin motif or blanket. I'm stitching the placement stitch now. Remove the hoop from the embroidery machine and place the hoop on your ironing board. Do not remove the project from the hoop. Use a pin to score the paper on the back of the applique and peel off the backing paper. Carefully place the applique piece so that it covers the placement stitch. It's essential to get the piece placed correctly, or the final stitch may not catch the edge of the fabric. The final stitch, satin, motif, or blanket, will be worked over the raw edge of the fabric, and it tacks down the fabric to hold it in place. Iron the applique to attach it. Follow the manufacturer's instructions on the heat and bond, and I usually iron with a hot, dry iron for about 10 seconds. Let it cool a few seconds, and then you can test the edges to make sure that they're adhered properly. Iron more if you need to. Place the hoop back in the embroidery machine and stitch the next step. For the snowflake design, there are only 2 steps. So this is the step to stitch the embroidery cover stitch. If you are stitching another applique, review the next step and then place the thread if necessary. Some appliques may have a tack down stitch or multiple steps for placement and then tack down stitches. If the applique has multiple fabrics to adhere, the next step will probably be either a tack down or another placement stitch. After each placement stitch, fuse the next fabric the same way as we fused the fabric earlier. After stitching all of the steps of the embroidery design, remove the hoop from the embroidery machine. Remove the work from the hoop and trim the stabilizer. If it's tear away, you can tear it away. If it's cut away, then cut around the edge. Your applique piece will be ready to be used in a quilt, table runner, or other project. We do have a tutorial on machine embroidery applique, so if you need more information on this applique process, please view that tutorial. And now this towel is finished. Next, I will show you how to fusible web applique with your sewing machine. Bring your cut shapes and your background fabric to your ironing board. My background fabric is a towel, as it was with the other tutorial. Use a pin to score the paper on the back of the heat and bond, and remove the heat and bond from the back of the applique. Lay your background fabric right side up on your ironing board. Carefully place the applique piece on your background fabric in the desired location. Iron the applique to attach it. Follow the manufacturer's instructions on the heat and bond. I usually iron it with a hot dry iron for about 10 seconds. You can test the edges to make sure that they're adhered. Thread your sewing machine with the thread color you would like to see as the finished stitch color. Thread the bobbin with a color matching the background fabric or a white bobbin fill. Several stitches can be used to sew around the edge of the applique. The blanket stitch, zigzag, straight, or any other decorative stitch could be used. In this tutorial, I will use the blanket stitch. Set the sewing machine for your desired stitch. Do some test stitches on a scrap piece of fabric to test the width and the length of the stitch and adjust as necessary. If you have an open style presser foot, put that on your machine because this is easier to use when stitching applique. The open toe foot makes it easier for you to see the stitches. Place a piece of tearaway or cutaway stabilizer under the applique fabric and then place both under the presser foot. The stabilizer will help support the stitches as they are stitched and when they're in the final product. Stitch with the left side of the swing of your needle to catch the fabric, and the right side would stitch just off the edge of the applique. If you have a needle down on stop button on your machine, set that button so that your needle will stop in the down position. As you go around any corners, you can lift your presser foot, turn the fabric, and put it down. For going around curves, you would lift the presser foot and turn it slightly as you go around the corner. Stitch slowly around the applique pieces, changing thread colors as needed. Make sure to back tack at the beginning and the ending, or at least overlap some stitches over top your previous stitches in order to make sure that they both are tacked down. I'm coming up to this rounded section, so I will pivot and start to go around. And for this one, I will have to take just a couple stitches and then lift and turn. Take a couple more stitches, lift and turn, and keep doing that all the way around the round section. Go very slowly around curves like this. I'm going to finish stitching around this applique piece, and I'll be back after I'm finished. I have the stitching completed on this, and once it's finished, then turn it over and remove the tearaway stabilizer, or cut back the if it was cutaway stabilizer. Here are my finished towels with the applique snowflake designs. This is the machine embroidered one with the 2 snowflakes, and the traditional applique with the 1 snowflake. Your applique designs can be used in a quilt, table runner, or other project. In my case, these towels are complete and ready for gifting. If you would like to see a written tutorial or purchase the Accuquilt dies or the magnetic hoop I was using, please click the link in the description of this video to visit our website. On that page will be links for purchasing items and also a written photo tutorial. We hope you enjoyed learning how to applique using the Accuquilt Go snowflake die. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Click the subscribe button so you won't miss future videos. Visit our website, needlepointers.com, for lots of other Accuquilt tutorials. While you are there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter so you won't miss new tutorials. Happy quilting!